I remember about a year ago, I met this guy the first time, and he was a little nervous, but he was really excited about the opportunity he had just found out about. Really excited about it. Kurt McGraw has been an entrepreneur since he was 19 years old, and he's like 25 now. Not really, he's a little older than that. He started a summer youth basketball league, and it's grown over the years to be one of the largest in the southern Ohio tri-state area. For the past 18 years, he's been self-employed as a contractor and a real estate investor. Kurt joined CCM May the 7th, 2013, and has since built a team of over 250 brokers and well over 3,000 customers. He's married to Kelly McGraw. They have 3 children. They live in Portsmouth, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to Kurt McGraw.
Thank you. When Danny first asked me to speak here today, I said, well, what do you want me to say? I didn't really know Danny that well, and he's, we'll say something smart. And then I knew he didn't know me very well. So I did ask, though, who was speaking. And I said, give me the list of who's speaking. And he mentioned off, and I said, well, I want to go after Cameron. I said, I know, after talking to Cameron. And the only reason I'm doing that is dogging on Cameron is that when I call up at IGS, and I call her quite often, I found out the other day when I call, he puts me on speakerphone. And he says, listen to this crazy guy on the phone. He doesn't want to do it. So it's great to be here today and for Danny putting this on. So I started thinking about, what I was going to say and how, I had this great speech all planned out. And then I think it's important to see how you got here, to know how somebody did the business. And I don't need to motivate anybody here. You just being here, you're motivated to do this business. So I think the one thing is just kind of tell you a little bit, about certain instances that has changed my life. And, he mentioned we're from southern Ohio, a little town called Portsmouth. And if anybody ever been to southern Ohio in here? A few of you? I mean, we have hills, up here it's so flat. I just love the area. Not that Columbus isn't a beautiful city, but I love the hills, and that's one thing that's always drawn me to that. And just the area, the people, they're different. A little skeptical, and that's good. I'll get to that a little bit later. But as I was thinking about what I was going to say, it goes back to your childhood, and we live in a real depressed area. 1980, Stillmo closed, and it really changed the structure of our whole town. And so as a young kid growing up there, biggest thing in my day, we didn't have TV. My dad's a Baptist preacher, and we just, no TVs, nothing. So I would love to go to my grandparents' house and after school and watch Chips and the Lone Ranger and stuff like that. So at 10 years old, I got my freedom. For my birthday, I got a 10-speed bike. And I was able to ride a bike there instead of taking 40, 50 minutes to walk. And my first ride out there, as soon as I got it, and they live about 2 miles away, or about a mile away as the crow flies, but if you had to get there, you got to go around the hills and cross the rivers and stuff like that. And it's about a 5-mile drive, ride to get there. My first ride over there, I got a flat tire. And as I was walking, one thing I did as a kid is pick up bottles and pick up cans, recycle them to make money, okay? I think we got 10 cents for a pop bottle, and aluminum cans a little bit different. Well, they didn't have aluminum cans back then, so I don't even think we did that. And so, bike broke down. I'm walking there, and it's going to take me another 50, 60 minutes to get there. And I came across this bottle and picked it up. And as soon as I picked it up, this genie popped out. I swear that God's honest truth. This genie popped out. And he said, you have 3 wishes, and I will grant them. My first wish, being 10 years old, I didn't need much. I said, my my tire fixed. My tire was fixed. My second wish is always wanted $100. I said, I would like to have $100. Instantly, it appeared in my wallet. My third wish was, I want a quicker, I got to thinking, he said, now this is your last wish. He said, make it a good one. He said, you didn't ask for much. I said, well, that's all I need. And so my third, I started thinking, I said, you know what? I would like to have a highway going through these hills, all over the rivers, right to my grandmother's house. I could get there in 10 minutes. I said, it takes me forever to get there. And that genie looked at me and he said, that's way out of there's no way I could do that. That's out of my realm of possibilities. And he said, there's got to be something else you want. And like I alluded to earlier, I'm not the smartest person. And I was always the last kid in the class to finish the test. To get a C or a B was a great accomplishment. And I said, I always envied the smarter kids. And I said, I'll tell you what, I want to be the smartest kid in the class. I want to get done first. I want to get straight A's. And that genie just folded his arms and looked at me. And he said, you want 2 lanes or 4 lanes with that highway? So the moral of that story is, you don't have to be smart to do this business. You don't have to be an energy expert like Cameron to do this business. You got to know somebody. And in this business, Cameron has been probably the biggest help to me, teaching me and sending me stuff that has really helped me do well. And I kind of want to get to how I got started and some things that has changed my way in doing this. This is my 357th day, or 58th day in the business. And what happened the first weekend, I think it was May 10th, or May 9th, we came up to IGS, when he alluded to that we had that first meeting. And first time I seen Mike in 18 years, and Mike said, you really need to study up. It's different than it was 18 years ago. There's so much new material. And so after the meeting, I went over to Barnes & Noble and looking through the books, and I don't like to study, I don't like to read. And I came across this book. It's called The Butterfly Effect by Andy Andrews. And the reason I liked it is it's got a lot of pictures in it, okay? And it didn't look too hard to read. And I liked the idea. I'd heard about it, I've seen movies, and one thing in this movie in this book that he mentions, and it's kind of changed my perspective on how I go about this. And it talks about a man named Edward Lorenz. And Edward Lorenz, he held 2 degrees, one in meteorology, okay, and one in mathematics. And in 1963, he published a theory to the New York Academy of Science and Technology. And in that theory, it stated that if a butterfly flapped its wings on one part of the earth, one part of the world, that it could set in motion molecules of air that in turn would turn other molecules of air, that would in turn has the ability to cause a hurricane on the other side of the earth. And imagine in 1963 taking that to his colleagues, and he was absolutely laughed out the building. But it was a fascinating concept, okay? And he studied, what brought him to this is that he studied weather, but its unpredictability, okay, bothered him as a mathematician. So he studied airflow patterns and studied this, and he came up with this theory. Laughed out the building. I think he was probably dead until 30 years later, when physicists and chemists or other scientists proved his theory to be not only correct, but true, okay? And it was proven, and right now, the name of that theory, just like the theory of gravity, it's called the law of sensitive dependence on initial conditions. And it not only works with air molecules and butterflies, but it works with anything that can move matter, including people. Okay? Kind of like the George Bailey effect, if you've ever seen that, one of my favorite movies. And what I want to get to is that if you believe that, if that's true to you, then everything you do matters. Everything you do. Not just to you, not just to your family, but it has a rippling effect that can carry on throughout history, not even in your lifetime, but it can outlive you. And in this book, what I wanted to talk about, they speak about a Lieutenant Colonel, I'll get back to that anyway. Again, I'm not too smart, so that's one thing. But 368 days ago, okay, Mike Healy decided to call me. Okay? And that the butterfly effect of that one call, okay, has put in motion a series of events that I don't see stopping. The first day in the business, and I want to talk about a little bit about this too. It's how you get started. The first day in the business, I didn't know when Mike called me, I didn't answer the phone. I have rental property, and I always like to hear the message before I call somebody back. And it was May, so the kids coming in for next year would be calling to try to secure a house for next year. So I always let the message go, and nobody left a message. So I called it back, and it was Mike Healy, and I hadn't heard from Mike since 2007, 2008, because Mike always called me. The history of me and Mike is that we were in a business called Excel Telecommunications back in 1994, 95, 96, 97. And since then, I have not done any kind of networking and not been in this kind of business since then, because I didn't like the idea of selling product. We sold long distance. Everybody had long distance. The thing was, you're going to get paid every time somebody pushes one on a telephone. That made sense to me. Making somebody buy something that they can get at Walmart for half price does not. So when Mike called me, he said, I have Excel on steroids. Well, first of all, when I called him back, I said, you changed your number to, because I probably wouldn't have called him back if it came up Mike either, because I knew he would want to pitch me on something else, and I just wasn't interested at the time. So I wasn't looking for a business to get into. I was happy with what I was doing. So after that call, he said, I got Excel on steroids. I said, what? He said, it's energy. I said, sign me up, right there. I then went to get my tires changed at a local tire shop, and another real estate guy I look up to in our town called me about another property, and I asked him, I said, who do you have your energy with? He said AEP. And I said, I'm thinking about being a broker, because I wasn't sure I was going to share this with anybody yet. And he said, you know what, they told us at Rotary the other day that to get the best rate, we need to find a broker. And I said, well, I don't know what I need to do, but I think I probably need a copy of your bills. So I went to his place of business, and he handed me 365 bills. Okay, so I got off to a good start, and the next day I went to see. I was having a tournament to raise some money for a charity, and I asked a guy, "Who do you have your energy with?" And he said, "Well, what are you doing?" And he actually, and I said, "Well, this is the website." Sent him to it, gave him Mike Healy's number. The next morning I wake up and said, "A new broker has been added to your organization." So I did have a good start, and that's one thing I always try to do. I got several people here, and the butterfly effect of Mike calling me that day has changed my life. And I want to mention a couple. I have probably 5 or 6 brokers here today that have, those 5 or 6 brokers have over 500 customers probably combined. And I just want to thank everybody for having me and listening to my little story. I hope I shed a little light. But just get started, and that's the key. Ask people who they have their energy with. So thanks a lot, and